And if you remember, when we were talking about artery, we said that heart pumps the blood into the artery. So now in this session, we are going to talk about the importance of heart, its structure and function. Now, heart is a pump, right? It acts as a pump which is able to transport, right? It acts as a pump for the transportation of blood, right? Why the transportation is necessary? Because we saw that blood carries essential nutrients, oxygen and carbon dioxide and waste materials, right? So transportation of blood, right? Now this is the organ that beats continuously. So from the time a person is born until the time of death, the heart is beating continuously. It's pumping the blood in your arteries continuously, right? It's a very, very important organ. You must have seen that after some, when you're playing outside for say 2-3 hours, after some time your legs you start feeling pain in your legs. The reason is that your muscles get tired. But the muscles of the heart are special kinds known as the cardiac muscles, which do not get tired. About these you are going to study in detail in your higher classes. For now, it's important to understand that the heart pumps continuously and does not get tired because of the special muscles that are present in the heart. Now, if we talk about the location of the heart, where is it located? So, it is located in chest cavity, right? And the lower tip of the heart, that is the lower tip, this part is slightly tilted towards the left, right? So it is present in the chest cavity with the lower tip that is slightly tilted towards the left, right? Now, if we look at the size, right? So what do you think would be the size of the heart? So because we see that heart is such an important organ, it pumps like 24/7 and or till the time you die. So you might imagine that, okay, maybe to supply the blood through all the body, the heart would be a big organ. But that is not the case. Heart is about the size of your fist. So how do you measure it? How do you see the size? Hold your fist, put your thumb like this and hold your fist in this way. Right? So when you hold it in this way, you will find the size of the heart. So my heart is about this size. So do this and see that what is the approximate size of your heart. You can compare it with your parents, right? So in this way we see that the size of the heart is about your fist. Approximately the size of your fist, right? So this is all about the structure and the location of your heart, right? Or rather, I should not say structure. It is about the size and the location of the heart. Also, it is the function. What is the function? To pump the blood in the arteries so that transportation of blood can take place, right? Now, when we talk about the way in which the heart is providing or transporting blood throughout the body, how it happens, let's understand that. Now, this diagram is quite important because it helps in understanding the direction in which the blood flows inside the heart, right? If you look at the arrows, it will help you in understanding that how the blood is flowing inside the heart of all the human beings. So, before we talk about this direction of blood flow, let's talk about the structure of the heart, right? So, when we talk about the structure, we say that heart is 4-chambered, right? That means the heart is divided into 4 chambers, right? Now, what are these 4 chambers? Let's understand, and why is it important for the why it is important for the heart to be divided into these chambers. First of all, let's imagine the heart to be this box, right? So the heart is first of all divided into 2 parts, that is right and left, right? So why is it divided into right and left? Because one part carries oxygenated blood, whereas the other part will carry the deoxygenated blood, right? Then It is further divided into upper and the lower parts. So this is the upper part and this is the lower part, right? So in this way we see there are 4 chambers, 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? First right and left, and then upper and the lower chambers. The upper chambers are called as the atria and the lower chamber is called as the ventricles, right? So if we say what is the name of this chamber, we will say that the chamber is your right atrium, right? So this is this is the upper part. So if we have to tell that if we have to name this part, so we will say it is right atrium. So atrium is the singular, singular of atria, right? These are the 2 atria, that is, this is one atrium and this is the other atrium, and these are the 2 ventricles, right? So ventricles are located in the lower part of the heart, whereas the atrium are located on the it is located on the upper part of the heart. So in this way we see we have 2 atria and 2 ventricles, and that's the reason why we say the heart is 4 chambered. One side of the heart is carrying the oxygenated blood, that means the blood that is rich in your oxygen, and the other is having the deoxygenated blood, that is the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide, right? So when we talk about which part is rich in atria and which part is rich in oxygen and which part is rich in carbon dioxide, we say that the left part, this is the left part that is rich in oxygen, and the right part is rich in carbon dioxide, right? So left atrium and left ventricle have the oxygen rich blood, whereas the right atrium and the right ventricle have the carbon dioxide rich atrium. Now why is this division important? This division occurs through the septa, right? So this is the septa which divides the heart into right and left, but this division is important so that the mixing of carbon dioxide rich blood and oxygen rich blood doesn't take place. This mixing is quite harmful for our body because we are warm blooded animals, right? So you'll understand about this in your later classes, that why the mixing of the deoxygenated blood and the oxygenated blood is dangerous. For now it is important to understand that this division helps to avoid the mixing of the oxygen rich blood and the carbon dioxide rich blood. So if we just go back and look at the structure of the heart, we will be able to see that this is the left atrium, that is the upper part. The upper chamber is the left atrium and the lower chamber is the left ventricle. Over here if we see, the upper part is the right atrium and the lower part is the right ventricle. And this is the partition that is separating the 2 halves, right? So you can see that this is the partition which is separating the right side from the left side from the right side, right? And this separation is called as the septa, right? You will understand about it in a little more detail in your higher classes. As of now, it is important for us to understand that the heart is made up of 4 chambers in which it has 2 atria and 2 ventricles, right? Now, let's talk about the direction of flow, that is how the blood flows within the heart, and from the heart how does it go to the lungs and to the rest of the body. Remember students, the rule that we had talked about, that in the artery the blood will flow away from the heart, whereas in the case of veins the blood will flow towards the heart, right? So these 2 are important rules that we need to remember. So students, if you look at these arrows, this will indicate the movement of blood into the heart and the movement of blood from the heart towards the lungs and different parts of the body. Now always remember this rule, like I have already mentioned, that artery takes the blood away from the heart and veins takes the blood towards the heart. Also, that the left side of the heart contains oxygen rich blood, whereas the right side of the heart contains carbon dioxide rich blood. So let's talk about let's talk about when we start the cycle, from when the blood comes into the heart and it is carbon dioxide rich. So when the blood is coming into the heart, where will it go? It will go towards the right side, right? And the blood will be brought in by different veins, right? So the vein is bringing the blood into the right atrium, right? So first the blood will come into the right atrium, and from the right atrium it goes into the right ventricle. So it will come into the right atrium, and from there it goes down into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle it goes into the pulmonary artery. Now we've already studied that pulmonary artery is the only artery which carries the carbon dioxide rich blood, and we know it goes away from the heart towards the lungs. So the pulmonary artery is taking this blood towards the lungs. The reason is that the blood needs to get, we need to remove the carbon dioxide from the blood and enrich it with oxygen, right? So when it is going inside the pulmonary artery, it goes to the lung. Here the exchange of gases takes place. Now what is happening, that once the exchange of gases has taken place, the blood is oxygen rich. Now it needs to come back into the heart, because this oxygen rich blood needs to be pumped in rest of the body. So what happens is, through the pulmonary vein, the blood that is rich in oxygen comes back into the left atrium, right? So it comes back into the left atrium, and from the left atrium it goes into the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it goes into the aorta. Aorta is again an artery which is quite a big artery and takes the blood that is rich in oxygen to all the parts of the body. So in this way we see how the blood is flowing from the body towards the heart, from the heart towards the lung, and vice versa, right? Always remember, this diagram helps a lot in understanding how the blood is flowing within the heart, right? Now, once we have understood, Paheli is wondering that which side of heart will have oxygen rich blood and which side will have carbon dioxide rich blood. So this we have already discussed, and pretty sure you will answer the question that left side has the oxygen rich blood, whereas the right side has the carbon dioxide rich blood. This can also be justified by the movement of blood that we saw in the case of your in the previous session, in the previous slide, in which we saw that how the blood was flowing, and this will help you in remembering that which side has oxygen rich blood and which side has carbon dioxide rich blood.
To study the internal structure of human heart. The adult human heart is about the size of a clenched fist. It is located in the chest cavity slightly towards the left. This amazing organ is built like a double-story house. Each part has 2 rooms. On the ground floor are the right and left ventricles, and the first floor has the right and left auricles. There are valves between the auricle and ventricles on each side. There are also exits from the ventricles into arteries and entrances from veins into auricles. Actually, the heart consists of 2 pumps, one on each side. The left side receives the oxygenated blood, that is, rich in oxygen, from the lungs and sends it through the body. The right side receives it back again with less oxygen and more carbon dioxide and sends it to the lungs.
Now let's talk about another important part, that is the heartbeat. Now heartbeat is basically the pumping action, right? The pumping action of the blood, right? So what, like I've already told you, the heart is made up of muscles, that is, the walls of the chambers of the heart are made up of muscles. These muscles contract and relax rhythmically to cause a pumping action in the blood, right? So it contracts and it relaxes. So because of this relaxation and contraction, the blood is pumped into the arteries rhythmically. This rhythmic contraction that is followed by its relaxation constitutes a heartbeat. So if you keep your hand on your chest for a while and you just observe, you just keep silence and observe what kind of thumping sound you are able to feel, right? What is the beat that you are able to feel in the chest? That is your heartbeat, and it indicates the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the muscles that are present in the chest wall. In the chambers of the heart, right? So these are the muscles called as the cardiac muscles, which help in the pumping of the heart, and this pumping occurs because of the rhythmic contraction and relaxation, and this rhythmic contraction and relaxation is called as the heartbeat. Now, all of you once in your lifetime would have gone to a doctor, right? And you must have seen that the doctor uses a particular device to hear your heartbeat, right? And what is that device known as? It is called as the stethoscope. This stethoscope is made up of 3 parts. First is your chest piece, right? Then you have your earpiece, and then you have the tube which connects the chest piece and the earpiece, right? Now, chest piece is, as the name suggests, is kept on the chest, and earpiece is put into the ear of, the doctor puts it in the ear, and it amplifies, the chest piece amplifies the sound of your heart, and what happens is the doctor is able to clearly listen to the heartbeat. Heartbeat is helpful in indicating any kind of problem that might occur or that might be wrong with your body, right? So it also helps, this stethoscope helps in giving clues of your condition or of the condition of the patient, right? So you might be wondering, how does this happen that the doctor is able to hear the heartbeat clearly? It's because of the diaphragm, right? This contains a very sensitive diaphragm, right? This sensitive diaphragm helps in hearing of your heartbeat. Now, whenever you saw the stethoscope, I am pretty sure all of you must have wanted to hear your own heartbeats. So what we are going to do, we are going to do a simple activity in which we are going to take a funnel, right? And what else we are going to take? We are going to take a rubber tube, and we are going to take, say, a balloon, or you can take a rubber sheet if it is available. So, and we are going to make a stethoscope. What we are going to do is, we are going to take the funnel and we are going to spread the balloon on the mouth of the funnel, as you can see over here, and we'll attach this rubber tube in the tube of the funnel. Now, this becomes your earpiece, and this part over here becomes the chest piece. Now what you can do is, you can put this chest piece on your chest, and you can use the end of this rubber tube and put it in your ear so that you can hear the heartbeat, right? This is a model of stethoscope which you can make in your house and listen to the heartbeats. Another thing which you can do is, you can perform this activity with your friends. First of all, write down the names of your friends, and then what you can do is, then you can first of all count the heartbeats, right? How many heartbeats are there? You also have studied that how we can check the pulse rate of a person. So again, you check the pulse rate, and then you ask that person to run for, say, 4 to 5 minutes. Then you check the heartbeat, and then you check the pulse rate. Will you find any kind of will you be able to find any relationship between the two? Will you be able to see whether heartbeat is somehow related to the pulse rate? You will see that when the heartbeat increases, the pulse rate also increases, right? And the heartbeat and the pulse rate are similar. The reason for that is that whenever the heart is beating, right, so the heart is beating, that means it is pumping blood into the artery. And if you remember, when we were taking the pulse rate, we were feeling the artery in our wrist, right? So when the heart beats, there is a pulse, right? Each heartbeat indicates a pulse, and this is why heartbeat is directly related to pulse rate. Perform this activity, compare these observations with your friends, and you will observe this relationship more clearly. Now let's talk about circulation in animals like sponges and hydra. These animals do not have a circulation which contains or which is similar to our circulation, because these are quite simple organisms. They do not have organs like heart or blood vessels. The circulation of hydra occurs because of the water. Now if you look at this particular organism, this is a sponge, right? So this is what it is, a sponge, and the sponge has small pores. What happens in the case of sponge, that the water along with the food material and oxygen goes into the body of the sponge with the help of these pores, right? This is circulated within all the body, all the parts of the body, and this is evacuated also through these pores. So the water circulatory system which is present in the sponge and hydra are responsible for transportation of transportation of oxygen and nutrition into the body. The water enters through the pores. Whatever is present in the water is utilized as nutrition, and oxygen is utilized, and then through the pores only the CO2 is removed, right? So in this case we see that these organisms do not contain any kind of circulatory fluid. So circulatory fluid, like we know in our body, is what? It is blood. But in these animals there is no circulatory fluid, right? Now let's talk about the discovery of the functioning of heart. So the functioning of the heart was discovered by William Harvey, right? William Harvey was a physician, right? He was an English physician, and he was the one who discovered the circulation of the blood. Circulation of blood, right? Now, because in the previous times people did not believe him, he was also called as the circulator. But later on, before even his death, his opinions, his discovery was accepted all over. And whatever we know about the circulation of blood, the beginning was done by Mr. William or Dr. William Harvey, right? And this is how we know about this whole process of the circulation, right? So in this way, students, we saw that how the heart is helping in the pumping of the blood and what is the structure of the heart. Now let's move on and answer some questions.